This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, the most important news from this week and why it matters to the people in the business of podcasting. I'm Brian Barletta.
And I'm Evo Terra. Today, Amazon inherits a celeb-powered podcasting company. New ad revenue numbers forecast good news for podcast investment, and a new op-ed asks, where has Facebook's fervor for podcasting gone?
Before we get to those stories, I need to make a quick personnel change announcement. We needed a pro writer to help get the scripts for The Download in tip-top shape, and are happy that Gavin Gaddis has joined the team. And also, Manuela Bedoya is taking over my hosting duties. I'm still very much involved in selecting the top stories we bring to you each week, so I'm not going anywhere. But when Evo and I started this at the end of last year, we were both committed to uplift other voices as soon as possible. We're following through with that right now. And with that, let's get started.
Celebrity chat podcast SmartLess, hosted by Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes, recently launched production house SmartLess Media. With former Jon Stewart-era Daily Show producer Richard Corson at the reins as president, SmartLess Media is poised to add multiple new stars to the relatively small constellation of Amazon-owned podcasts. The new company has sprung into existence following a prior deal in which the trio of celebs licensed the podcast SmartLess to Amazon Music and Wondery in a deal, as reported by Deadline's Peter White, quote, thought to be valued at between $60 million and $80 million, end quote. According to White, this deal also extends to shows created by the fledgling production house, meaning SmartLess Media's promised slate of weekly series, narrative, and limited podcasts are subject to first-look exclusivity by Amazon. It appears through careful future-proofing and investment during the licensing deal when SmartLess was just one podcast feed, the shopping and streaming conglomerate has inherited a celebrity-fronted production company, Wholecloth, and they continue to have rights to the original product's momentum, which currently fuels a cross-country live tour set to wrap up this weekend.
Speaking of Amazon, in a first for the company, Amazon has broken down its advertising revenue as a distinct category instead of bundling it with other earnings. The decision to do so, now and not last year when they posted a $10 billion profit increase from 2020 to 2021, remains unseen, but we'll take it. According to Business Insider, quote, at $9.7 billion in the quarter, up 32% year over year, ad revenue was one of Amazon's fastest growing areas, end quote. With their fostering SmartLess from a simple podcast acquisition into a brand new source of content production, Amazon appears to show no signs of slowing growth in media properties that can help fuel this advertising boom. Amazon's continued heavy spending in podcasting could be an indicator they believe in the medium's ability to help continue ad revenue growth.
Continuing the theme of growth, e-commerce is on the rise globally. Sara Lebow of eMarketer provides statistics breaking down the top 10 countries with the biggest increase in e-commerce made over any internet-capable device. That excludes travel, bill payments, gambling, food service, or anything that falls under the vice good umbrella. To quote from the article, the Philippines and India will lead the world in retail e-commerce sales growth this year, with respective increases of 25.9% and 25.5%. Countries in Latin America and Southeast Asia will make up most of the top 10, while the last spot will go to the U.S., the only advanced economy to slide into the rankings with 15.9% growth. End quote. A significant portion of podcast advertising is still direct-to-consumer and significantly focused on the U.S., the country that's coming in 10th out of the top 10. That, combined with emerging podcast markets or strong pre-existing histories with audio in countries represented in the top 9, shows podcast advertising has room to grow. Growth that might shift to bucking the existing status quo of purely targeting North American customers.
New podcasting app Fountain aims to make things easier for podcasters to receive tips from their audience in the form of Bitcoin Lighting, a system simplifying the process of transferring 100 billionths of Bitcoin between users. The biggest barriers to entry for such a scheme have been the need of a digital wallet, the process of buying crypto for said wallet, and the idea of another person's wallet to be able to transfer the crypto to an intended recipient. While those hurdles still exist for the person intending to send the money, startup Fountain solves the initial problems for podcasters on the receiving end on value for value transactions by creating a wallet on their behalf. Several larger podcasts have embraced the service, including Jack Rhysider's Darknet Diaries.
In this week's Hot Pod Insider, Ashley Carman published an op-ed about Meta, Facebook, their profit woes, and the question mark that leaves for Facebook podcasting. Carman writes, quote, I wondered if brands would start spending more money on podcast ads simply because Facebook's aren't as powerful. Maybe that's worth another check-in. But instead, I'm now wondering how this tech informs Facebook's decision to pursue podcasts on its platform. End quote. With the social media giant reporting a decline in users for the first time in its existence alongside declining profits, a second pivot to video, and a full-throated commitment to rebranding VR gaming headsets as office supplies, Facebook's previous interest in embracing podcasts seems to have been lost in the shuffle. Quoting from Ashley again, I'm unclear where that team stands or what they're doing. Did they pivot to the metaverse? End quote. And that was the download from Sounds Profitable. Now, I know we went through these really fast, so be sure to check out the links to every article mentioned right in your podcast listening app or on soundsprofitable.com/thedownload. And thanks for sticking with us as we continue to make tweaks to this grand experiment to give you the best stories you might have missed from the past week. I'm Ivo Terra.
I'm Manuela Bedoya. Special thanks to Ian Powell for his audio prowess, Gavin Gaddis for writing today's script, and to Omni Studio for hosting the download. And thanks to you for joining us. Robot?
Download complete. Quiet, R2.